Nirmalji made a very prophetic statement that a free trade agreement opens the door to greater engagement two ways. And unless businesses encash the opportunity for inviting investments and promoting exports, you can jolly well land up with a situation where more imports come in and we don't take the benefit of the open markets. And I do think that all of us are very conscious of engaging with the world from a position of strength. India is a competitive manufacturer of goods, provider of services. All these FTAs, the 38 countries covered in these 9 FTAs, are relatively much more prosperous, richer countries, developed countries. Their per capita GDP is significantly higher than India's. And therefore, their ability to compete with India, especially wherever labor is involved or talent is required, is less. They will provide us certain goods and services, but at their price point, at their cost of operations, if we are unable to match with them, then possibly it will be good for India. Because we are working in a very globalized environment. And therefore, if we need data centers, we will need to import them, at least at present. If we need high quality, precision capital goods, as we speak, we will need to import them. They are the enablers for the India growth story. And I don't think we should be worried about such productive imports. But unless we convert these opportunities into reality in terms of greater exports, and I'm not just talking about textile or footwear or leather, I'm looking at greater exports in more value-added products in automobiles or auto components, for example. We are looking for greater exports in the electronics, finished goods, into consumer goods, in our agro and agro-based value-added products, so that our farmers, our fishermen, all benefit from better prices, better price realization, and our products go to the shelf rather than just go as raw materials. And if we all work with that spirit, the government on its part can play the role of an enabler. We have come out with Bhavya, and we've had extensive stakeholder consultations on where these new 100 industrial parks should be located. We already have 20 parks which are at various stages of development. Nirmalji just gave me a very good thought to chew upon, to work upon. If we could have a single body at each of these industrial parks, and we could possibly then take it to other areas where that single body will be the one-stop shop for every approval that you may require, whether central or state. Very much aligned to what Sushma ji was just talking about. And I can assure you that we have been engaged with the states, with other ministries and departments to make this a reality. What we really need is you, ladies and gentlemen, to also engage with us and guide us and help us in understanding what are the various requirements and helping us by testing out whatever is on offer. We did come out with a single window at the national level about 3 or 4 years ago, post-COVID. But sadly, we didn't find enough engagement from the private sector. We didn't find the private sector giving us feedback on what was good or not so good or needed to be improved or worked upon. I would once again urge all of you from the private sector to engage with government, the Jan Bhagiyadari that Prime Minister Modi often talks about, so that we can really know which are the specific pain points on which government needs to work. But I am sure when we work together as a team, we'll be able to come up with significant outcomes for a better future for businesses and industry. In my engagement earlier, and it was quite a large canvas that we discussed, there was an urge to know more about the current state of affairs and the West Asia crisis. I think Sanjeev Sanyal is a very eminent economist, and he'll enlighten you more about the crisis on hand. But I do think that we have seen enough problems in the past. I mean, nothing could have been more unpredictable than COVID. But ultimately, they all pass. What we require is to be awake to the possibilities, both good and bad. We need to recognize that this problem could go on for a longer period of time because the stakes on both sides are such that we are not even sure what is decided in the morning, whether it will be taken forward by the afternoon. In such a situation, we don't need to panic. We need to be smart. After all, the Prime Minister made certain calls to action. With a very open mind and open heart, he shared his thoughts with all of you. And I see no harm in taking forward those thoughts, because ultimately, they will be good for us in business. If we pull up our socks, if we become more efficient, more productive, ensure that we are more conscious about waste, look at energy efficiency in our day-to-day lives, in our business, I don't see any issue that's bad for you or for the government. If we reduce unnecessary travel and engage on Zoom or engage on video conferencing more often, just like we did in COVID, and found that everything could be, a lot of things could be done very efficiently. Everything worked smoothly, partially physical, partially online. And I think we learned a lot of game-changing and life-changing lessons which can hold us in good stead as we go forward. I see no reason for any of us to look at these ideas or these suggestions with suspicion or trepidation. I think these are just jogging your memory to do a thing smarter and better. And for that matter, there are about 1,800 or so global capability centers that operate in India. And they're growing very, very rapidly. Within these centers, the number of people engaged are growing very rapidly. And one of the reasons is the learnings during the COVID period. International companies realize that if a lot of work could be done from home, they can jolly well be done from a country like India, where there's youthful talent, where there are hard-working young people. We might as well move those processes to a trusted partner like India and bring down our costs, rather than struggling for visas and struggling for permissions or work permits to get people to those countries where there is a shortage of manpower, there is a shortage of youth, there is a shortage of talent. They decided to move those processes to India. What's that? It's nothing but work from home in a new fashion. And it's working very well for our country. Today, almost 2 million jobs have been created in these GCCs directly, and possibly 10 million jobs indirectly, with the entire ecosystem benefiting: real estate, the entire transport systems, sale of equipment, sale of automobiles, the electrical industry, steel, cement. The list is endless. Everybody is benefiting. Very often there is concern about our services exports. I don't see any reason to panic. There may be one cloud which will come in, but then there will be many more concerns around cyber security that will come in. Maybe the AI will try to clean up cyber security. There will be a smarter AI which will come up to damage that security. It's going to be a cat and mouse game. Now, are we going to cry over it, Or are we going to seize the opportunity, just as we did after the Y2K moment in 99, 2000, the change of the millennia? Our IT industry never looked back after that. They just grew and grew and grew from there to almost become a $300, $400 billion industry today, aspiring to be $500 billion soon, aspiring to be $1 trillion in the next 10 years. It's very much eminently doable. It needs our confidence. It needs a deeper understanding of how we can leverage newer technologies smarter in all our businesses, and at the same time become providers for the world who is facing a talent shortage or facing a shortage of adequate people to work on these new technologies. There'll be bots coming in, then we'll need people to clean those bots. AI maybe we'll need more and more applied AI coming up. Ultimately, what is created is only platforms or models. They have to be converted to applications. And nobody better than the Indian talent to convert that into applications. So I would really believe that whether it's the West Asia crisis, whether it's emerging technologies, whether it's our own business processes, which this session is all about, trying to drive more investor confidence in India and make it easier to do business, all of these are opportunities for us to seize. I don't see any problem in inviting innovation to come to India. I don't see any concerns if we are able to get more and more data centers to India. All of these are going to help us power our economy. Look at the simple story of data centers. Central government on its part is working on twin tracks. A, we are engaging with the developed world, building up trust with the developed world and suppliers and users of data centers so that we can get the technology to India and we can get customers for that technology in India. We've also made sure that data is available at very low cost compared to the rest of the world. We've also given the enabling environment for renewable energy in a big way, which can power these data centers. We've created a national grid, probably the second or third largest national grid in the world, so that there's adequate redundancy in our power systems, which is a must for continuous power into the data centers, particularly clean energy, renewable energy. Now, the enabling environment has been finally embellished with a 100% tax-free status right until 2047 for cloud services being provided from India or from these data centers to the rest of the world. So you have a perfect mix of policy framework to invite investments into India. Now, these investments, ladies and gentlemen, are going to lead to greater requirement for real estate. They will lead to a greater requirement of personnel to man these data centers. They'll need a lot of equipment which is made in India to supplement the data center or the quantum computing machines that come from abroad. We will need the entire ecosystem that a business requires: hospitality, transport and logistics, schooling, healthcare. The entire ecosystem will benefit. People working in this ecosystem will spend. That's the consumption spending, which will lead to better taxes. It's the whole virtuous cycle centered around the data center with which India can benefit. And the same would be for AI. The same would be around each ecosystem, micro ecosystem that we are trying to create. Tourism, for example. Tourism can engage with smarter technologies, but at the end of the day, it's going to be human-centric. At least, I don't know if the newer models will have tastier sev puri every time the robo makes the sev puri, whether he can bring a new element of taste to it to suit my palate, or my sev puri wala in Nepensi Road will continue to serve me the sev puri of my choice. I don't know whether the Claridge's pawn shop can be replaced by an artificial intelligence robo. I suspect the coffee that was just served to me, if it was to come in from a robo buzzing away while the program is going on, would not really work. We are unnecessarily, as a nation, pretty pessimistic. ये नकारात्मक सोच से हमें बाहर उठना पड़ेगा. Leverage each of these into opportunities. And my humble appeal to all of you is, we'll have to be more ambitious. We'll have to look at all of these as enablers to help us grow faster. If Prime Minister just said, for a year do your holiday in India, is not just about your travel ticket or the hotel money that you'll pay there. He has a deep-seated thinking that will really encourage the Indian economy to grow faster. People will get jobs. Across the country, we have so much and more. How many of our children have been to, let's say, the forests or the wildlife sanctuaries at Gir, at Pench, at Dudhwa? There's so many of them across the country. I don't know why we cannot be more focused in promoting Indian destinations without panicking or feeling bad about it. I see no reason for any of us to be wastefully consuming energy. Forget the crisis for a moment. Even in our day-to-day lives, when we launched the LED bulb program, was there a crisis? Country had surplus power in 2015. We all had surplus power. As power minister, we were burning away power at night and afternoon, because we had surplus power. And we connected all the regional grids into a national grid, brought down power rates in South India and East India Northeast India significantly. At times in peak hours, even Western Mumbai, Maharashtra and Gujarat had to pay, Karnataka had to pay very high prices. We converted all of it into one grid, all prices went down. But we still launched Ujala, and are the world's fastest adopter of smart electricity or smart lighting systems, or users of LED at a level where today we are saving 1 lakh crore rupees at least at the minimum, just because of that small program to sell LED bulbs to the people at 10% of the cost what it used to be before that, 10 or 15% of the cost, without any subsidy. Completely driven by Jan Bhagidari, completely driven by the active involvement of the people of India. Just did it in a manner which was smart, like any businessman would do, leveraged economies of scale, leveraged efficiency in payment systems, leveraged manufacturing in India, which we were promoting, Make in India, rather than importing. And lo and behold, the world recognizes India as the smartest adopter of energy efficient lighting ever in world's history. Can we not duplicate that in the auto sector? Can we not duplicate that in our factories or manufacturing units? Can we not start looking at all the Japanese systems that the auto industry and the auto component industry uses to eliminate or reduce waste? Nirmalji, I'm told in Japan, if a steel plant produces 1 ton extra any one day, for 6 months after that, they are absolutely worried. Extra. 1 ton extra production one day causes distress and concern across the plant. And for 6 months, they are struggling to find out what happened. Not because they are unhappy about the future that they'll be able to produce hopefully 1 ton more every day. But for the lost opportunity for years that they did not produce that 1 ton extra. That is the level of self-confidence that they demonstrate, which we can also demonstrate. We've overcome many situations. I call these challenges more like situations. Last year was a situation, US at 50% tariffs, Ukraine war relentlessly going on. Towards the end of the year, the West Asia crisis started, but still our exports were at an all-time high. And we grew both in merchandise and in services. This year, after the success of an $863 billion export last year, we are ambitious enough to try and aim for $1 trillion. But I'm not an exporter. Nobody in the government is. You are the exporters. You have to leverage these opportunities. Each of these FTAs will come into effect every few months. But we don't need to wait for that. Let's capture the opportunity. We know jolly well that it will happen. Let's start going out. Let's take delegations across the world. Prime Minister has not said that you don't go around the world expanding your business. Please participate actively, engage with the rest of the world. Get the business, do your sampling, do your trial orders well in advance of the FTA coming into effect. And I can assure you that we will, on our part, take every suggestion that was made in the room before we came here, that was made on this stage, that you will send us. You can even send a consolidated bunch to Honorable Finance Minister, to the Prime Minister's office or to our office, so that we can engage with other ministries. I can assure you the Modi government does not work in silos. It's one government. We all work together as partners for the progress and prosperity of businesses. For us, we would like to have a relationship of trust between you and the government. I invite you to come up with as many suggestions. Sometimes they may be pretty difficult also. But we want as many out-of-the-box suggestions as you can give us. On our part, we can assure you that we are also looking at our business processes within the government. So, Commerce Ministry, for example, I have 482 offices in 216 cities across 46 organizations. And we realized that there's no need to be spread out so thin. In Mumbai alone, and last Friday I visited all the offices in Mumbai to take a review. We have something like 14 offices at different places all over Mumbai. 2 or 3 of them will have to remain. ECGC has their headquarters there, so they will continue. CGPDTM has a very large setup. It will continue. But and we have an Institute of Packaging, which is a massive campus. That will certainly continue. But other than that, we are looking at bringing everything else into one location. Like that, every state capital be one location for the entire autonomous bodies and branches of the ministry, so that there's a single point contact for anything related to commerce and industry, DGFT, tea board, coffee board, spices board, all the plantation boards, GEM, whether it's related to PISO, whether it's related to ONDC, any of our bodies, single point of contact in a city, everybody interconnected through online digital connectivity, and ensuring greater transparency in our working, availability of all the 46 organizations in every city. I may not have an MPDA official sitting in Mumbai, but if you have a problem related to MPDA in Mumbai, the marine exports, you can jolly well engage with that office. It's their responsibility to sort it out for you. So we are continuously reorienting and rejigging our own business processes for greater efficiency. It's not just about cost cutting. It's about smart government. And I invite all of you to work with us towards this smart government, towards working with greater efficiency, towards an ecosystem that focuses on quality and productivity, towards better engagement with the smallest company, the smallest micro unit across the value chain, so that his voice, his or her voice, the voice of the smallest stakeholder, gets as much preeminence as the voice of a large industry. And let's make a scorecard between government and industry, what we are doing to indigenize, to localize, to improve our exports, for import substitution, how we are improving our efficiency, what is our innovation index, how much is our energy efficiency plans yielding results. Can industry, individually and collectively, come up with scorecards on these matrices and these indices? It will help you become more efficient. It will help us understand what we can do better for you. And together, we can make this journey in the Amrit Kal towards Viksit Bharat more fun actually to work and more outcome oriented. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity. I've tried to cover as many points as were raised in the morning, but anything else, my doors are always open. Thank you.
Thank you for a very thoughtful address, sir. I now request our honorable dignitaries to present a small token of appreciation to Shri Piyush Goyal, sir. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our Honorable Minister. Thank you for giving us time, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, request you to kindly be seated since we are going to start our very important session with Shri Sanjeev Sanyal, Member PM Economic Advisory Council. Allow us a moment of a transition.